Okay, so you want to own a hospital. Buy a large building, install a scanner, add a few operating theaters, and charge thousands of pounds every time somebody needs surgery. Except you cannot simply buy an NHS hospital and turn it into your personal business. And even in the private sector, the building, the clinical operator, the consultants, and the patients may belong to four completely different relationships. One property company paid £500 million for 14 operational private hospital properties in 2024. That is about £35.7 million per building. But it bought the bricks and the leases, not 14 waiting rooms full of guaranteed patients. That distinction is the entire business. By the end of this video, you will understand what a private hospital owner actually owns, how one operation becomes revenue, why an empty theater can lose money by the minute, and how a hospital network producing more than £1.4 billion can finish with a surprisingly thin layer of profit. First, decide what you are buying. You can own the property and lease it to a hospital operator. You can own the regulated operating company and rent the building. Or you can own both and carry both sets of risk. The property needs theaters, recovery areas, medical gases, infection control, imaging, backup power, fire systems, and equipment that becomes outdated while it is still extremely expensive. The operator needs something even harder to buy: permission and trust. In England, you cannot carry on regulated hospital activity without Care Quality Commission registration. The CQC expects the premises, staff, registered management, governance, safeguarding, medicine systems, and clinical policies to be ready before you open. So the first asset is not the hospital sign. It is a safe organization that is legally allowed to treat patients inside the building. Now you need those patients. A private hospital normally has three main doors through which money enters. Door 1 is private medical insurance. The insurer agrees prices and rules with the hospital, and an insured patient arrives for approved care. Door 2 is self-pay. The patient pays a fixed price for consultation, scan, or procedure because they want speed, choice, or a treatment not funded through their route into the NHS. Door 3 is the NHS itself. Independent hospitals can hold NHS contracts and receive elective referrals through patient choice arrangements, usually within an agreed payment framework. Spire Healthcare's 2025 group mix makes this visible. 43% of revenue came from insured patients, 21% came from self-pay, 31% came from the NHS. The remaining 4% was other income, with the percentages affected slightly by rounding. That is not the whole UK market. It is one large operator's portfolio, but it shows why a private hospital is not simply a luxury clinic for wealthy people. It is a three-payer machine. Now follow one knee replacement through it. The patient is referred or books directly. The hospital schedules the consultant, pre-assessment, theater, anesthetist, implant, nursing team, pharmacy, recovery bed, and follow-up. The hospital may receive one bundled payment, but that payment is not profit. It is a bag of money arriving just before a crowd of people and suppliers put their hands into it. The implant manufacturer gets paid. The clinical team gets paid. The theater must be cleaned and staffed. Medicines, sterilization, imaging, pathology, food, laundry, insurance, software, and waste disposal keep moving whether the logo looks impressive or not. And the consultant relationship is unusual. Many consultants are not ordinary hospital employees. They build their own practice while receiving practicing privileges to work inside the hospital. The operator provides facilities, clinical teams, and patient access. The consultant brings expertise, reputation, and referrals. So owning and operating theater does not guarantee that somebody desirable will operate in it. You must persuade patients, insurers, GP, NHS commissioners, and consultants to choose the same building at the same time. That makes utilization the hidden heartbeat of the business. A theater with a patient inside it can generate revenue. The same theater sitting empty still has rent, depreciation, maintenance, and core staff attached to it. The public numbers show the scale. In 2025, Spire cared for 978,000 patients across 38 hospitals. Its hospital business generated £1.446 billion of revenue. Cost of sales was £774.8 million. Hospital staff costs were £509.1 million, although those costs sit within the segment's wider accounting categories and should not simply be added again. Other operating costs were £555.4 million. The hospital business produced adjusted EBITDA of £258.8 million, a margin of 17.9%. Then depreciation, leases, equipment and financing remind you that EBITDA is not money sitting in the owner's pocket. Hospital operating profit was £119.3 million. Across the entire group, after finance costs of £105 million and tax, profit for the year was £17.2 million. £1.58 billion of group revenue became £17.2 million of final profit. The exact figures move each year, the lesson does not. Hospital revenue is not owner money. Then comes capital. Spire spent £78.5 million on property and equipment in 2025 and made £116.2 million in rental payments. It carried £948.7 million of lease liabilities. Scanner fails. A robot needs upgrading. A fire safety program cannot wait until the next profitable quarter. And because qualifying medical treatment is generally VAT exempt, the tax treatment of major purchases needs specialist planning rather than a simple assumption that every pound of input VAT comes back. Now add the risk that cannot be repaired with a spreadsheet. Private hospitals mostly focus on planned care. Many do not have the full emergency capability of an NHS acute hospital. They select patients and procedures carefully, create escalation arrangements, and may transfer a deteriorating patient to an NHS provider. One serious clinical failure can harm a patient, trigger regulatory action, and damage the trust that keeps consultants and referrals coming. The most valuable asset can disappear without leaving a hole in the wall. Demand is currently real. Fin reported a record 953,000 UK private hospital admissions in 2025. NHS England has also committed to using independent capacity to help reduce elective waiting times. But demand is not the same as guaranteed volume. Insurers can negotiate, NHS commissioning can slow, self-pay patients can postpone surgery, consultants can move their lists, staff shortages can close beds even while patients are waiting outside. So how much money do you actually make if you own a private hospital and run it well? There is no honest universal answer, but we can build an evidence-based illustration. Divide Spire's hospital figures by 38, and the network average comes to roughly £38.1 million of revenue, £6.8 million of adjusted EBITDA, and £3.1 million of operating profit per hospital. That is not a forecast for a typical site. Spire's portfolio includes hospitals, medical centers, and consulting rooms, and individual locations vary enormously. It is simply a scale model showing where the layers sit. Now imagine two hospitals with the same expensive building. Hospital 1 tries to offer everything. It buys prestigious equipment before demand exists. Theater lists have gaps. Staffing follows habit instead of case volume. It depends on one insurer and one-star consultant. Revenue looks impressive, but rent, finance, and underused capacity eat the margin. Hospital 2 knows exactly which planned procedures it can deliver safely and repeatedly. It builds referral relationships, protects consultant time, fills theater lists, measures cancellations, controls length of stay, and balances insured, self-pay, and NHS work without allowing one payer to control the whole business. It does not cut clinical capacity to create profit. It creates profit by making safe clinical capacity reliable enough to stay used. That is the final rule. Owning a hospital is not owning a building where sick people automatically produce money. It is owning a regulated promise that the right patient, professional, room, equipment, and payment will meet at exactly the right time. If you can make that happen safely, repeatedly, and at scale, you may own an excellent healthcare business. If you cannot, you may simply own the most expensive empty rooms in Britain.